I'm going to tell you about a great exercise. It's going to make you strong as can be. Really, you actually won't believe how strong you're going to get. And it's great for building a thicker back. And it's really just a functional exercise. This is something that it's really one of the things I like the most, which is a dead stop row. And what I really like about it is you can do it in a tiny little space. So, and you don't need expensive equipment. You know, I used to think you need a whole lot of expensive equipment to gym, and yes, it does help. If you don't have to go to a commercial gym, for example, I would love to have a squat rack at home. There's a lot of stuff that would help with that. But at the same time, there's certain things that really lend themselves to getting strong at home for honestly very little money. So I'm going to tell you about this dead stop row while I do a few sets. Now, I have done a bit of a warm up with some lighter weights, but I didn't think that you guys felt like watching me change weights for, continuously, because with these adjustable dumbbells, you actually do have a little bit of, I suppose, logistics. It wouldn't go down so well on a YouTube video, and I didn't feel like editing in between. So this is going to be really low tech, but just showing you something that you can do to really make yourself progressively and objectively stronger. With that in mind, I'm going to focus here and probably cut myself off for part of the time. So just to show you what these dead stop rows look like, I'm going to do some sets of 5. 1, I don't know if the camera angle's good. 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe you can see a bit better here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll explain my methodology, little mat there. I suppose free sponsorship for the camera company, but I didn't realize that was in the background. So I tell you what's so fantastic about this particular exercise is when it comes to the big compound lifts normally, you can measure them and track them on a spreadsheet or an app and work on getting progressive overload. What I mean by progressive overload is if you're just starting to work out, just each time you work out, track the exercise you did, the weight that you did, the sets and the reps, and then just try over time to improve. So you can, for example, improve, do another rep this session compared to the same exercise last session. Once you can do a few more reps, you can increase the weight a little bit. So what I do with this particular exercise, it's really great for that. And I know I'm waffling a little bit, but certain exercises can be hard to track, and this one is easier because it's very it's very simple. You've got a dumbbell. So how I work it is I will do my warm-ups and then I'll build up to a top set just to test my strength every week. So let's say, for example, this week will probably be 55 kilos. And I'm literally talking about one rep. So I'm literally picking up the weight from a dead stop, doing 1 rep to see can I lift 55 kilos, which I know I can. 1 in each arm, obviously, and then tracking that on the spreadsheet. Now, I'm not trying to beat that every week because I know that once I get past that weight, my form is going to just be terrible, and then it becomes a bit pointless. It's going to turn into more of a deadlift. Then I'll drop the weight, 10 kgs normally, and I'll do 2 sets of 3. I'll drop the weight by another 10 kgs.
I'll do 5 sets of 5. And then afterwards, I'll switch to something like croc rows just to carry on with my workouts, and maybe some other kind of rows, pull-ups, etc. And if I'm feeling energetic, some other things. But the real bottom line here is that this particular exercise does not fatigue my lower back. And considering I do a lot of lifting, where it does things like deadlifts and squats and a lot of functional exercises, my lower back does tend to get fatigued from the heavy compound movements. So the dead stop dumbbell row just allows me to really pick up heavy weight and not fatigue my lower back. Now, it depends a lot on what your goals are. If your goal is pure hypertrophy, maybe this is not the best exercise for that. But if your goal is functional strength, this exercise allows you to have a stable position and pick up a heavy object many times. And it has completely and utterly transformed my ability to pick up heavy things. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Easy to track, easy to work into a program. And just on a last note, sometimes the biggest benefit that I get from this exercise is just that it is something that I can do at home in a small space with very limited time. So it allows me to stay consistent. So for example, today I had an early flight. I flew back from work. I left very early this morning, didn't have time to go to gym, had a connection, didn't get to go to gym at the airport there. There isn't a gym there, not surprisingly. And then flew home. I've now got to do washing because I've got to go back to work in a few days' time. Got a kid's birthday tomorrow, got supper to make and all sorts of things. So I did not have time to get to a commercial gym. And doing these rows gives me a very significant day of strength training with honestly very little time. I can do sets in between washing, in between cooking and whatever. And I can track it. So apologies for the waffling and the terrible video quality. But I really think that if you haven't tried these exercises, you should. There are other variations as well. I love dumbbell rows. So, give it a try. And just to give, these are not Olympic bumper plates. These weights you can buy. Okay, these ones are in good condition, but you can actually buy cheaper ones on places like Facebook Marketplace. If you're in a country with eBay, you can probably look there. You can do all sorts of weights ranging from light to heavy, and you can pick these things up for not really that expensive, and it's a safe and fantastic way to go. The only thing is, I do recommend, if you're going to use weights like this and you're going to be using it on a floor where you don't want the floor to get destroyed, I just got myself a gigantic mouse pad when I was at a supplier expo, just to avoid damaging my patio floor, because my wife is not that much of a fan of my weights being all over the place. So destroying the floor probably wouldn't have gone down well. And anyway, I hope that this video helps you. If it does, let me know. If you think it's a crock of garbage, let me know. And have a great day. Ciao.